Every age has its tragedies. Every tragedy demands an explanation. Every explanation is a story. And when the facts are in dispute, when we can't agree on truth, the facts don't determine victory. What determines victory is the best story. Who can craft the most compelling narrative? Who can spin the best yarn? The left, the right, the conspiracy theorists, Stephen King, J.K. Rowling. The battle to be history's author is as old as philosophy itself, and as urgent as today's news. It's been said that the victors write the history books, but today the inverse is true. The best storytellers become the victors. Plato warned us in the Republic, beware the storytellers. He feared that poets could shape the souls of citizens more than truth itself. Aristotle, more pragmatic, gave us the formula: logos, ethos, pathos. Logos was reason, the evidence. Ethos was credibility, the speaker's character. Pathos was emotion, the appeal to the heart. The Stoics distrusted pathos. They believed emotions were disturbances, distractions from reason and virtue. Yet here we are, 25 centuries later, and it isn't logic that rules us. It's story. In the Gospel of John, it is written, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." That word, logos, is the rational principle of the universe, the divine logic. But observe how the Bible actually persuades, not with logic, but with parables, with stories. The Good Samaritan, the Prodigal Son, the Passion of the Christ. The heart of Christianity isn't a syllogism. It's the story of a man crucified, buried, and risen again. The story that evokes pathos, that breaks hearts, that moves souls. Why is the Bible written in stories? Anthropologists tell us humans have always shared wisdom through myth and tale. Cognitive scientists show that our brains are wired for narrative. We remember stories 20 times more than facts. A story gives meaning to chaos. A story makes data human. And in times of tragedy, a story is what we cling to. A story is what persuades us, our emotions, the pathos. The media knows how humans are wired, and they lean into it for views, for engagement, relying on classic archetypes and fairy tale themes to capture the public's attention and frame the narrative. John Benet Ramsey has drawn comparisons to Snow White, the innocent child, the pure maiden, destroyed by unseen evil within her own castle. The photographs of Jean Benet in pageant gowns gave the story an eerie fairy tale quality. The 9/11 story practically wrote itself, playing out on people's TV screens like some Hollywood disaster film. Skyscrapers collapsing, cities in flames, heroes and villains painted in stark colors. But unlike cinema, the ending was unresolved. And so new myths rushed in: inside jobs, shadow governments, hidden masterminds. Casey Anthony was the wicked stepmother, a mother accused of killing her own child, a role so unnatural it cast her immediately as villain, regardless of the jury's verdict. George Floyd as the gentle giant. The media did their best to portray him as a victim of racism, like Tom Robinson in To Kill a Mockingbird, or John Coffey in The Green Mile, an innocent, simple man crushed beneath the boot of the machine. If only it were that simple. Irina Zarutska, a Ukrainian woman stabbed to death on a Charlotte bus, is reminiscent of Little Red Riding Hood, an innocent woman in a public space attacked by a monstrous stranger. a familiar folktale reborn in modern tragedy. All these stories attempt to tap into something primal in us, our emotions, our fears, our innate desire to protect innocence. Every tragedy follows a cycle of stories. First, there's shock. The rupture, the towers fall, a man gasps his last words, a woman is murdered on a train, a father collapses on stage. Next, emotion. This is the pathos. Vigils, hashtags, a nation in mourning. What follows is saturation. Images flood every screen. Opinions multiply. But we live in different echo chambers. We can't agree on what source to trust. The ethos is fractured. Next, there are alternative narratives. The conspiracy theorists come out in full force. There's profit in the broken ethos, money in the rubble of the crumbling institutions. Who benefits? Who lied? Who staged it? Who can author the most compelling conspiracy theory? Next is rationalization, investigations, reports, inquiries, an attempt to restore logos. Next is reframing and humor. They say that comedy equals tragedy plus time. Increasingly, the incident becomes the source of memes and dark jokes. Even normies become comfortable chuckling at punchlines that would have previously horrified them. Finally, there's memory. The raw emotions have faded. The facts never really mattered. What remains is the chosen story. This brings us to Charlie Kirk. There's something about this incident that strikes so many of us at our core. And it's this: Charlie Kirk was good. Anyone who's taken the time to observe him and listen to his message can see it. Now, they could have targeted one of the more incendiary voices on the conservative side, and while sane people still would have never defended it, perhaps it wouldn't have been quite as egregious. But no. They targeted a reasonable, godly man with a loving wife and 2 beautiful children, and they assassinated him in the prime of his life for all the world to see. It's a fate that Western society deems cruel and unusual for even the most repugnant of monsters, let alone for a man who advocated civility and harmony. It's a tragedy of Shakespearean proportions. And history is full of the good man cut down. JFK, Martin Luther King Jr., Robert Kennedy. Like Christ before them, they stood for peace, for hope, for a vision beyond conflict.
I go around universities and have challenging conversations, and because that's what is so important to our country, is to find our disagreements respectfully, because when people stop talking, that's when violence happens.
And like Christ, their deaths became sacrifices retold endlessly in the stories of a grieving world. Why? Because Christ's story is the greatest story ever told. And Charlie Kirk's story? There are already a few different versions floating around out there. But don't read the Stephen King version. Don't believe the Keith Olbermann one. Believe the story of a courageous and honorable man who stood on principle and faith. Keep it in your heart. It's a classic.